Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to Tipping Point Media's Advanced in Virtual Training webinar. We're going to be doing the essential e-learning today, and what we're going to be teaching you guys a lot about is the foundation of e-learning. You know, how e-learning is built and how important building that core foundation is. And, you know, one of the things I always like to make the analogy of, you want to design a house and you built the house of your dreams. It's everything you ever wished, and white picket fence, big backyard, all of those amazing things. But the architecture wasn't done right. You know, and that's one of the things we see often in a lot of training. You know, you can have this amazing VR experience, great webinar, but the foundation wasn't built right. It's the same thing with a house. If you're not doing the architecture correctly, you're going back and redoing the foundation of that house. And that's what today is all about. You know, and one of the great things that we're going to be showing too is every Friday we're going to be doing these types of webinars. It's going to be like a lunch and learn. You dial in, link up with Tipping Point Media, and we're going to have new information for you every Friday at 12 o'clock. So it's going to be a happy Friday of learning. Just sign up, and we're going to send you a link. And next week's is going to be on VR, AR, and e-learning done in weeks, not months. We're going to cover how you can deploy virtual reality, augmented reality, and e-learning to your virtual learners in weeks, not months, because that's one of the biggest drivers that you know, holds people back is, oh, it'll take too long to deploy. How are we going to get this in front of our learners? We're going to show you how to do it. We're going to show you how to do it and get it there quick with a number of different products we have. Okay, well, with further ado, so you guys can see the link on your screen here. So what this is an augmented reality solution that we have that you can download to your iPhone or iPad. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you how to do a webinar and have AR integrated into the webinar. And that's going to happen later in the presentation. And the reason I'm showing you this now is so you can download it. By the time we get to that part of the presentation, it should be loaded and installed. So a quick way to do it too is if you go to the App Store on your iPhone or iPad and just search for Tipping Point Media, you're going to see a link to this. So just go ahead, click it, install it. It should take about 5 or 10 minutes to install, and you'll be ready. And we're going to take you through a demo of showing how to do AR in a webinar. So go ahead, you can get that there. So we have an amazing group today. This is you know, we have Jillian and Harini, two extremely talented instructional designers. They are the builders of the foundation. They are your core instructional designers that develop everything here at Tipping Point Media. They're two of many instructional designers, but that's one of the things that I take a lot of pride in. You know, I mean, Tipping Point Media is known for our virtual reality and these great experiences and this interactivity and the latest technology available. But what I'm most proud of is the core foundation that we build into all of our training. And they're going to explain that to you today. So a quick introduction of myself. I am a president and chief creative officer at Tipping Point Media. Been running it now for about 16 years, a little over. And we've been developing it predominantly for the pharmaceutical, biotech, life sciences, science-related industries, and we've been developing virtual training and virtual marketing, communicating both for internal people and external learners. And it's been a fantastic ride. And thank you very much for joining us. And I would like you to introduce you to Jillian. Jillian, go ahead. And I'll be back. I'll be back to introduce, show you this AR. I'm going to go off camera now.
Hey, great. Thanks, Bill. My name is Jillian Sanchez, and I'm a senior instructional designer at Tipping Point Media.
Yeah, hello, everyone. I'm Harini Balachandar. I'm a digital project manager and a learning strategist with Tipping Point Media. The topic of this webinar is very close to my heart, and I love helping people find the best and effective learning strategy that works for their organization and learners. I am very excited to have this opportunity to be a part of the webinar. Right. Before we begin, we would love to know what you do and what does e-learning mean to you. Please take a moment to type your response in the chat box. The chat box is available on the panel on the right. Lindsay, please let us know when the responses come in or if when the chat time is up.
Yep, so we have some instructional designers on the line. A wide variety of modalities involving electronics. We have a training manager, higher education folks.
All right. That's a wonderful mix of audience we have here. And looks like most of you are, I'm very sure, are familiar with e-learning and what it means. So let's get started. Traditionally, e-learning has been stereotyped as a boring, click next, get to the quiz section, complete, print my certificate, and off I go on my way model. It was a quick and dirty way to get things online and trackable. But is that really effective? Do your learners actually benefit from it? Did you get what you invested for? In today's webinar, we'll be discussing how digital learning goes beyond click next and how it can be effectively made to create a positive impact to businesses and your learners. We'll be covering the benefits of e-learning, how pervasive learning strategy can give your learners a more need of the hour and engaging learning experience. What to have in mind before you start building your e-learning solution, and how Tipping Point Media works with you to develop a course that's custom built to your needs. And towards the end, Bill is going to show you something really cool that takes e-learning to a totally immersive experience. Yes, Bill will be presenting how augmented reality can be used with a virtual training environment such as webinar or self-paced e-learning. Most of you are here probably because you are already aware of the benefits of e-learning. Here's a quick recap of that. E-learning isn't just presenting PowerPoint slides through webinars. E-learning is unique in its ability to immerse the users in innovative new ways like videos, interactivity, and even games. E-learning is experiential. Not only do your learners understand the material, they experience it firsthand and actively use the information as it's presented. It's a safe space for your learners to practice, make mistakes, and learn from those experiences with hands-on training. With interactive e-learning, your learners develop muscle memory and lasting resonance that translates to deeper knowledge retention and better performance. E-learning modules are much more cost-effective than traditional training methods like traveling to workshops or setting up training equipment. They can also be developed more quickly, allowing your learners to start using their new knowledge faster. Okay, time for a quick poll. Let us know how much you think virtual training reduces cost when compared to a classroom training environment. The poll is now open on the right panel. Lindsay, please let us know when the poll completes.
Yep, so just a few more seconds to finish answering. All right, and voting is closed.
All right,
So
so
we
looks
have
like
67%, say 40 to 60%.
okay, let's see what it really is. And that is an interesting poll response. So e-learning reduces training costs by 50 to 70%. This is possible as it eliminates travel, lodging, and other physical resources necessary to set up a group in-person training session. E-learning can reduce training time, results in higher productivity, and has higher retention rates. Now that we have reviewed some data to back up how e-learning is beneficial for both the organization and the learners, it is important to have a fundamental understanding of what e-learning actually is. To begin with, Jillian and I will discuss the types of learning. Synchronous learning is more traditional. It involves real-time feedback between an instructor and a class of learners. Conventionally, this has been the in-person classroom training. Synchronous learning is what most people think of when they imagine learning experiences. It's more social, there's instant feedback between the instructor and the user. Imagine traditional learning environments like lectures and conferences. Learning takes place actively during set times, and learners can discuss lessons in real time. Asynchronous learning, on the other hand, allows learners to go through the material at their own pace to ensure maximum retention and the ability to revisit materials as needed. Asynchronous learning doesn't have that instant feedback, but that allows users to move through the material at their own pace. They can pick up material when they find time in their busy schedules, or pick it up and re-review materials whenever they need a refresher. You can think of this as reading a book or a news article. One type or the other might be better suited based on your needs. In addition, blended learning can combine elements from both for a well-rounded experience. It's important to remember that all these learning types, synchronous, asynchronous, and blended, can be done virtually. This is e-learning. How can you have synchronous learning online? By now, most of you are already following this kind of learning. That is, the instructor-based learning using virtual classrooms, shared online whiteboards, and audio-video conferencing. There's also instant messaging for peer-to-peer communication and group activities. The biggest question with this model is, how can I engage with my learners and create an interactive environment virtually? The good news is, interactive and experiential content can be built for this type of learning to keep learners highly engaged and motivated. Our adult learners need to know the answer to, what's in it for me? This is a very important question to answer before you engage with the participant. The training piece or the learning strategy should always lead the learners to the ultimate goal. Instructionally, the answer can be presented as a story or a case study or even a hands-on exercise that they can relate to their real life scenario. Additionally, instructors also need to be trained to present the material and work with programs so they can be excited and prepared to train. The success of the training really depends on both the motivation of the learner and the facilitator's virtual training capabilities. Jillian, could you please elaborate on the asynchronous e-learning?
Sure, Harini. Thank you for telling us more about how we can enhance synchronous e-learning to make it more engaging. So I'd like to add to that and talk about asynchronous learning. So asynchronous e-learning can be online or offline, and it can take advantage of immersive e-learning elements like gamification, app-based simulations, and interactive videos. So traditionally, asynchronous learning, for example, reading a book, cannot be tracked. However, asynchronous e-learning can be tracked, and reports can be generated for scores, completion status, and engagement. So an example I'd like to point out is an explainer video, which is a short animated video used to quickly tell stories or show how to do something in a memorable way. So explainer videos generally use simple graphics and straightforward language. This is something that could be tracked and reported on in a learning management system. So we're going to take another poll before we move into our next section. So can you tell us, use the chat feature to let us know if you are, sorry, not the chat feature, the quick poll should appear on your screen. Would you let us know if you are familiar with the pervasive learning model?
Just a few more seconds to answer. All right, we're going to close the poll and I'll share the results with everyone.
Hey, great, Lindsay. So it looks like a majority of our attendees today are not familiar with the pervasive learning strategy. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So Harini and I can tell you a little bit more about what pervasive learning is. So pervasive learning implies learning at the speed of need through formal, informal, and social learning modalities. So this phrase was originally coined by Dan Pontefract, who's a Canadian author and leadership strategist. So what this is this concept advocates that learning goes beyond what we learn in a traditional classroom setting. One of the most significant benefits of this learning is that it prepares learners for real-life challenges and situations. A learning strategy can be created that combines the various tools within these three categories, so formal, informal, and social. These tools help learners fine-tune their application skills in the subject matter. So additionally, a pervasive learning strategy can also help enhance e-learning experience by providing a collaborative environment. Learners can interact, offer feedback, work together to solve problems, and overcome learning challenges by using these learning tools. So we'll review some of these virtual elements of pervasive learning that can be used either together or independently to build your learning strategy. So Harini, would you tell us more about pervasive learning?
Sure, Jillian. Let me start with the formal education. Formal education has been the majority of how learning happens in corporations. It includes virtual instructor-led sessions, virtual conferences, highly engaging and interactive game-based learning using app simulations, and even content rotations, that is, blended approach. Informal education involves opportunistic guidance, inspiration, and sharing of expertise and skill from one source to the general population. Examples include podcast, webcast, and virtual workshops. The materials can be made available through any content management system or streaming tools. Social learning has become a norm these days. We learn from each other through the internet. This is user-generated content from experts that are published blogs, discussion boards, or videos. Chat rooms and social media are also powerful forums for this medium of education. As we discussed earlier, virtual elements of pervasive learning can be used either together or independently to build a learning strategy. All right, so take a moment to record your answer for this poll. Do you already have an e-learning program in place?
Just a few more seconds to finish answering up this poll. And I'm going to close the poll now and share results with everyone.
Okay, thank you, Lindsay. And it looks like majority of you do have a program in place, and that's awesome. Okay, so but if you are thinking about having a virtual learning program in place, then here are some points to consider. How complex is the subject matter at hand? And for this, sometimes a complex issue with lots of gray area might require synchronous learning guided by an instructor, or a blended learning approach may be the best way to go. Next, think about what kind of delivery tools and technology are at your disposal. Answering this question not only considers your capabilities as a host, but the capabilities of your learners. Does your company have a learning management system in place? Do your learners have access to iPads or other mobile devices? To wireless internet access? Can you host a web conference? Can your learners access one? Then it is also good to consider where your learners are located. That this helps in answering questions like, can you schedule all your learners at the same time, or do they need to be grouped? And is asynchronous e-learning a possibility? And finally, how do you know if your e-learning program or module is working? Do you need your user feedback and reports on completion status? Do you need evaluations, reports on user activities? Alrighty, so use the chat box and let us know what were or are your top concerns with getting your organization started with an e-learning program. So this needs to be typed into the chat box, right, Lindsay?
Yep, or the questions panel. I'm monitoring both.
All right. Let me know if when you have some responses.
Sure. Training for developers and instructors.
Mm-hmm.
Getting stakeholders to recognize the value in aligning media or format to content and purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Time lag to create content. These are all great answers.
All right. Let's see if we can get you some answers for them today. Okay, thank you for your response. And here are some of the top questions we have received from our customers when they were getting started with an e-learning program. All these questions have answers, but require consultation to get answers that fit your company's specific needs. We will be happy to discuss any specific questions in more detail during the Q&A towards the end of this webinar. Again, we'd like to keep you all engaged. So tell us what you found challenging or what obstacles you have faced during an e-learning development process. Yeah, please use the chat box to type your answers again. Thank you.
Yep. Sometimes it's the technology, getting SME time for review, catering to individual and group technology related issues, buy-in from all stakeholders, more SMEs, approval process on content, and then the platform.
Okay. Those are all great responses and definitely sound familiar. So the process of developing a virtual training can seem daunting if you do not know what to expect. Setting expectations and transparent communication is the key to a successful project. This is our process at Tipping Point Media, but knowing the process can help you know how to ask the right questions and get the outcome you need from any team. With Tipping Point Media, you can have a customized virtual learning solution in as little as 4 steps. An agile development process is highly collaborative and allows you to design and develop a product that is to your specifications. Let's walk through these steps. So we work with you to analyze your learning needs, establish the scale of the project and the speed of delivery, and create an action plan that guides the rest of the production. The needs analysis helps understand who the audience is, what their level of knowledge is, what content is currently available, who are the subject matter expert, what is their availability to work with the training team. We understand how the training needs to be delivered and when. Being flexible and working with the available materials and schedules lead to the best solution. Tipping Point Media prides itself on having a strong project management team. This ensures there is a single point of contact for every project to facilitate all communication and coordinate project deliverables.
Hey, great. Thank you, Harini, for telling us a little more about the agile development process. So let me walk you through the design and storyboard phase of this process. So we work closely with clients to design a high-level content outline, then ensure references are available and in place at the time of the outline phase. So next, we create a foundational storyboard through iterative cycles of review. To complete the design and storyboard phase, we work alongside you to help with regulatory review cycles. We work with your materials and subject matter experts to design your virtual learning experience and produce a working storyboard so that you know what the final product will look like. So our in-house production team, which includes our medical writers and medical illustrators, develop a product based on the storyboard that is interactive and engaging while still being focused and accurate. So through this whole process, a dedicated project manager will be there to provide regular updates and answer any questions or concerns you might have along with this process. So next, let's talk about the development phase. The final project goes through several rounds of review and edits, internally by us and by your subject matter experts, to ensure that the final product is as finely tuned as possible and is aligned with your storyboard. Our quality control process is thorough, and when necessary, it's tested across several platforms to ensure the solution has a seamless performance. Technical specifications and limitations that were analyzed initially are implemented during this phase. Again, this is highly collaborative and gives everyone an opportunity to sign off on the final product before its release. So our last step in this process is the delivery phase, when the final product launches. We work alongside your team, even in the weeks leading up to the project launch, to ensure that the project launches smoothly, and we continue to be on hand afterwards to further develop your virtual training continuum. In many cases, a trackable learning asset is the final product, such as a SCORM package. These solutions require a learning management system to be in place. We ensure that your learning asset is compliant with any delivery medium, whether it's synchronous e-learning or asynchronous e-learning. So now I'd like to invite Bill back to talk more about Tipping Point Media's university system that's specifically focused on the life sciences industry, campus. Bill?
Well, thank you very much. Wonderful job, ladies. It's just a pleasure listening to you guys describe this. Thank you very much. So real quick, so you guys heard a lot. There's different forms of learning. There's different tools out there that are available. Everything from virtual reality, e-learning, of course, mobile devices, these webinars, everything. And what we have also is a solution that makes it a one-stop shop for all of your learners. So your learners can come into this one stop. It has a complete list of all their learning tools that are available to them, all their learning objectives, a calendar that guides and takes them through a paced training curriculum. And what this becomes is a centralized hub that they log into every single day and have access to everything. And what this is a great way to organize all these different virtual tools right at your fingertips. And what it makes also is the teachers, managers, trainers have access to all the data, see how people are performing, make sure people are being certified, and tracking and measuring all of that for reports of analytics and data to their stakeholders or any kind of audit that could occur. And this is the campus. So here's a quick little demo of that and how it looks and how easy it is. And it shows your progression and how you're working throughout. There's an easy calendar that you can utilize and click into. Then you have access to all these virtual world tools, and your training and so on. And we can integrate any virtual learning into this device. And it's a really quick, easy thing to set up. This is a proprietary tool that Tipping Point Media offers to all of our clients, along with all the virtual solutions we build. So it's not just one and done. It becomes a staple in your training. Okay, so I hope everybody downloaded the app. Let me go back to the camera here. Okay, there we go. All right, so I hope everybody got the app there. Install later. So let me show you real quick. I'm sorry, I'm getting update reminders. Remind me later. Okay, so what you want to do is you want to launch this app. You see it? I hope everybody downloaded. If you didn't, don't worry. I'm going to show you how to work it via the webcam here. So what's really cool about this augmented reality app, as you can see the t-shirt I'm wearing, see this logo on there, this image? Well, this image is the same image that's on your screen. We also have printed materials that you can use, and what's really cool is this printed material, this comes off as a sticker. You can put the sticker on anything, but you could do this with any of your learning materials, including your webinar, as you can see here on the screen. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do display it. So you hit display, and you take that target and you come up and you'll see there's a woman coming to life dancing on top of my computer here that is a medically accurate version of the human anatomy. And we have all these different tools that you can examine. You know, for instance, here you can go into the brain and you can see it looks like that brain is right on my laptop and it's three-dimensional. You can move around and explore it. You can go deeper into it. But what this does is give you this virtual experience right there at your fingertips, other than, you know, it removes that didactic feeling of PowerPoint slides and so on. It feels like this learn by doing experiential form of learning. And what this does is help with metacognitive development. You know, learners learn best when they're seeing, they're hearing, they're feeling, they're interacting. What that does is build the ultimate goal. And our ultimate goal is to build and garner retention. So you can keep going through that. We also have another example too, to where we have an entire doctor's office that will come to life. And we have a new tool that's coming out that we're about to launch in a month or so, where you can turn your entire living room into a virtual experience, to where just with your iPad or iPhone, you can turn anything into a virtual world. So you can turn your living room into a hospital, a doctor's office. You could do all types of role playing. You could do simulations like this, to where you say, tell me about yourself. And it's voice activated. So it's not just A, B, C, D type questions or true or false. You're literally using your voice to answer these questions and engage these avatars. And you can go through that, and I'll let you guys experiment with that more. And you can also do when you wear it. So let's see. Let me see this. Oh, give me a little bit. So you can see. I'm sorry, it's a little. Oh, don't even. I'll wait. Okay, I'm too close to it. No, it's all good. All right, so but you guys can see how that can work on multiple. So here, if I take this print piece, see if I take that print piece, imagine that's my shirt. And you can see we have an example where it looks like you can see your lungs, your heart. You can dive deeper into that and learn more about the human anatomy. And one of the great things about Tipping Point Media is we have in-house 3D medical illustrators that are certified to do any medical 3D animations, which is a rare thing in this industry. Most people would farm that out. So that's it. I mean, if you guys want, we can send you this image. You can actually go and download. Lindsay, is there a link that they can download that PDF? I believe, where do they find that?
Yeah, it's in the handouts section.
It's in the what? I'm sorry?
The handouts section of their screen on the right-hand side.
If you guys go to the handout section, you can download that image, print it out, and use it as an AR target. And it's that easy. I mean, you can even print it out black and white, it's still going to work. But you can imagine that for your learners, how interactive that becomes from that didactic, flat PowerPoint type of webinar. All of a sudden, parts of your webinar, you can have that paced out. You can have different sections that unlock as you go through the webinar. Okay, take a break, everybody, just like we did with our polls. Take a break and check out this AR experience that I'm referring to. And then they just take up their iPad or their iPhone, and all of a sudden there's a 3D object that just came to life in front of them right there on top of their laptop. It's really amazing, game changer as far as webinars go. And that's just one of the many things that we're doing in our advanced course that we're going to talk about next week for you know, some of this virtual AR, VR, AR, and e-learning, and how we can really spice up your webinars if you wish. Okay, again, so that's next week. That's part 2 of advances in virtual training, VR, AR, e-learning, and developing in not weeks, developing in weeks, not months, and how quick we can do it. We have a number of different tools where we can do it in augmented reality, where we have simulations of conversations that you're having with people, and it's all being voice activated. I'm going to also explain how you can get VR in your learners' hands, how quick and easy it is now with the Oculus Quest, how easy it is to ship this. They get the box. We've already preloaded everything on it. We've already sanitized. We have our own UV light cleaning system here that cleans the headset. We package it back up, send it to them. It's completely sterilized, and then they can use it. And it's for their use. And these only cost about $300. You know, in the long scheme of things of how expensive it is for logistics and you know, your learners traveling all over for live workshops, it's pennies. And we're going to be talking about all of that next week. I think that's it. And thank you very much, everybody. And if you guys have questions, please feel free to ask. And look forward to seeing you guys next week. And happy Friday.
All right. Thank you so much, Bill. And we'd like to open our presentation up to questions from the audience. Type your questions in the chat box and we'll address as many as we can. Lindsay, if you could relay the questions that you're getting, that'll be very helpful. Thank you.
Sure. You guys can use your questions feature to answer as well. Does the augmented reality application work with existing content?
That's an excellent question. And that is also one of the things we're going to be covering on how we can deliver in weeks, not months, and how we leverage pre-existing content. That was a great question. We're going to be covering that in next week's webinar. And the question is, though, yes, we can. That's one of the key ways that we are able to deliver it in weeks, not months.
Does TPM only work with medical related companies or businesses?
No, that we don't. We work with a number of different. We work with everything from banks. We work with the government. We're doing things for, like, say, companies like DuPont that tend to be more on the science side, but we definitely work across all levels. We actually, Tipping Point was started doing a lot of K through 12 work back in the early 2000s. That's where I really cut my teeth, and that's something that we love to do and are trying to get back into, is more of that K through 12 development. So yes, we're very well rounded. If anything, we could handle really any content. I mean, the medical content is literally the hardest possible content to manage and design for. As you could imagine, the science related to that is incredible. So if we were able to do some work outside of that, it would actually be a breath of fresh air and frankly, probably a little bit easier.
Can webinar meeting attendees achieve the look and feel of being in the same room while wearing their own headsets in remote locations?
Yeah, well, that's something I'm going to cover next week too, which is really cool. So imagine that you're in a virtual webinar. Now, it's different. It's not a flat screen. What we do, we have an example next week. I'm going to be showing how we built a virtual reality escape room. And you put the headset on. You're in there immersed. You're not looking at a screen. You're not looking at a flat webinar. You're literally in a virtual 360-degree environment along with your colleagues and peers that you're interacting with. So what we built, an escape room, you have 4 different individuals. They could be in China. They could be in Mexico. They could be in Philadelphia. And it feels like they're all in the same room together. It's absolutely incredible. And it's going to revolutionize the way virtual webinars are occurring.
Any other questions for the Tipping Point team?
Okay. All right. So I guess if there is no other further question, I'd just like to conclude with a few words here. So it has been great presenting this webinar to you all, and I'd like to conclude that we are fortunate to be in a day and age that supports experiential e-learning, and it is time to push beyond click next and truly deliver an immersive experience by leveraging the right design and tools. So I hope you found this session helpful, and we look forward to seeing you all in our next webinar sessions, as well as where we augment your reality with our AR and VR enhancements. On behalf of Bill, Jillian, and myself, I thank you for your participation, and you have a great rest of the day.